50-50s in this sense, specifically with throw loops, RPS, it makes it backwards. Attacks are supposed to be throws. Throws be blocks. Blocks be attacks. Throws, if they're 5 frames, you get it with a 4-frame jab and you still get thrown. That literally makes no sense. Because
So, one thing that has come up recently in fighting games with Street Fighter 6 and Tekken, we know Tekken has had its own things with its super offense and all that other stuff, and also in Street Fighter 6 being super like heavily offensive, the topic of 50-50s come up a lot. In this super heavy offensive era, you have situations where it seems like you're in just overwhelming, suppressing 50-50s all the time, where you have to guess for your life. And people kind of don't like that. They wish there was more defensive options to deal with this. They wish it wasn't so many options for people just to rub their nose against the controller and put them in situations where it's like, oh my goodness, I gotta guess for my life. People don't like in Street Fighter 6 that if I get you in the corner, is he gonna throw loop me, is he gonna shimmy, and then next thing he dump and drive me there again, and then next thing I'm taking a full shebang of a combo that's basically finna end me here. In Tekken 8, with all their different crazy things that they just announced with the season 2, they basically took everything they had from season 1 and said, we gonna crank it up to 1 million and bump all that defensive stuff we told you. 50-50s, are they a big deal in fighting games? Like, should they be something that, should they not be something in fighting games that's like so overwhelming? Should they be something that's taken out of games in general? I mean, fighting games in general. It seems like 50-50s are just such an issue in games nowadays. What do you guys think about 50-50s? Are they a big deal in fighting games in general, or is it just this new wave of new era of fighting games? Starting with you, Mr. Game Love.
I think it's a problem because it's getting, it seems like it's just getting too much. We've had some games you look back at. MKX was very like rush down, mix up heavy. Um, you look at something like Street Fighter now, it's kind of getting that way with certain characters. And it's just, I don't know, 50-50s is one of those things where I don't mind a character having it or being able to utilize it, but when it's just like literally the entirety of the match, I'm guessing for my life, like that kind of starts to take away. It's almost like you lose and you feel like I didn't really lose because I got outplayed. I'm not a robot, so I can't predict the future. That's really what it is. There should be some type of back and forth between, okay, all right, you got this little 50-50 setup. Okay, you got me that time. Okay, but it shouldn't be something that's so constant to where you get a person in the corner and it's literally just 50-50 out of 50-50 out of 50-50. And it's like, well, I lost, which is, we use the term set play. When you get to a point where you can make a person guess, and well, you're constantly making a person guess, and it's just like they're like, well, I mean, if they aren't a robot, they can't perfectly guess what I'm doing, then they're just gonna die. You have situations like Marvel. Marvel 3 has some of it with like notoriously with Zero in the corner, his incoming. He can like mix you up. He can make the lightning like hit you from behind, and you have to figure out what's going on. In that game, it's such a high octane game, and there's so much going on, and there's so much creativity. So with that game, when you have those situations, sometimes I don't mind it as much because there's just so much going on. It's like, what do you really expect? It's 3 people versus 3 people, and you can call assist. So there's going to be some nuttiness that happens. But I feel like in 1v1s especially, it's just like when you have constant 50-50s, it just takes away from some of the game, I feel. I saw Max playing around with Lars now, and apparently Lars has like these stances now that leads into like safe 50-50s, and that's really the problem. When you have something that's like plus leading into that, and you literally have nothing, you have no option to do anything unless the game has some defensive mechanic that lets you burst out of that offense. If there's none of that, and usually let's say they do something that's like +4, so they're at advantage and it leads them safely into some type of mix, then it's like, okay, what am I supposed to do? I'm just praying that I hold the right direction. You know, that was Injustice 1 Doomsday. I didn't play that game a whole lot, but I remember Doomsday he was a big talking point of that game. He was such a busted character, and he had some move that was like, I think it was a special move, and it was like an overhead into low. If I'm not mistaken, if for those of y'all that know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was like an overhead into low, and like the overhead and low, they almost hit like at the same frame. So it's like you almost had no opportunity to fuzzy guard. It's just like, I'm just gonna get hit by this. It's like, well, I'm trying to to decide between do I block high or low, but it's like it's so fast I almost can't. It's almost unblockable. So I just feel like you should have these moments where you make somebody guess. Yes, if you're creative enough, if you can get somebody on the back foot, that's cool. But just to constantly be doing it, it's just, like you might have a character like Kimberly. She has like the stands where she runs, or she's gonna go low, she's gonna go overhead, something like that. I don't necessarily mind because it's like it's a 50-50 guess, but at the same time, there's a gap, enough of a gap to kind of like, okay, let me fuzzy guard here. I can kind of make a guesstimate of what I need to block, or just like off the player's patterns. But if it's like something where I don't think she does, but if she has something that gelled into her move where you can't even move, and now you're like, well, okay, I can't move, so I just have to see where she's going and try to guess. It's it's fun sometimes, but it's one of those things where it's fun for so long, and you get tired. It's like, bro, when you lose or something like that much, it's like, bro, like, and really sometimes the only offense is for it is just to do the same thing back to them. It's like I get 50-50 to them, or I 50-50 them to them. Sometimes it's like that's it. So yeah, I think it's a problem when it just gets to the point where, especially like in Tekken 8's case, I haven't played the patch yet, but from what I'm seeing with certain characters, it's just like, yep, you guess or you die. Guess right or die.
Yeah, you can go ahead, MC Nice.
Well, 50-50s, man. Yeah, I feel like I don't think they should necessarily go away 100%, but I do feel like there needs to be like a mitigation because they're just way too prevalent, I think, in current fighting games. It's a little bit too much. And like you said, like Mr. Gamerliff was talking about, I think it comes from the games being a little bit skewed way too much towards offense. And it feels like every game it feels like they're like making a promise that they're going to be more balanced in that regard, more offense and defense balanced. Then the games come out, and then it's like, oh well, actually we lied. It's actually more skewed towards offense. And then even a game like Tekken, which was like kind of skewed towards offense at the beginning, and they said we're going to make it more defensive, and then they went completely the other way. I mean, that was just a bold-faced lie. I'm not even sure what they thought was going to happen like after the patch came out and people found out what they really did, that they're going to be like, oh yeah, see, we did what we said we were going to do. No, you didn't. You did the complete opposite. I mean, you did the exact opposite of what you said you were going to do. And so now it's like you got all these, like the whole concept of 50-50s is very, I mean, in moderation, it's not as bad, right? But when like when you're constantly thrown into like the blender and you're constantly having to guess over and over and over again, like the mental stack, man, it's a bit much. Like especially in the heat of a battle, it becomes a bit much. Now, at the same time, it would be hypocritical of me to pretend like I didn't do stuff like that in Soul Calibur 6, where I was constantly putting, like, what I would constantly do is I would put people in positions where they had to take the grab, man, and you had to guess which grab I was doing. So it's like, all right, I'm gonna hit you like this. You're standing up, I grab you. Did you guess right? Yes. Okay, cool. All right, you're out of here. You lose a little bit of your health, but you're at it again. Put you in another position. All right, I'm grabbing you again. Did you guess right? No. Okay, well, you take a bunch of damage. And then the thing about that is like if you're playing Astaroth and they guess right 3 times, it powers up one of your moves. So like the next time they make a mistake and they do like a horizontal move and you're doing like a forward kick move, you go under their move and you knee them in the chest. It's what's called, I think it was a lethal counter. And so that basically leads to like a big combo. So, it would be hypocritical of me to not mention that I myself have benefited from the existence of 50-50s quite a lot in the past. But but it wasn't just that, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't just like a complete focus on that. But I will say that, in times where I was the chips were down, I did rely on that. But yeah, I do think that in moderation, I think it would be better. But like to just have games that are just so offense driven, so offense skewed, it really it it really like kind of takes away some of the fun of the game because it really just becomes a guessing game, and you're just it's like, well, how do I guess right? There you get becomes like, how do you guess right? And I mean, unless you're like a mind reader, or unless like you've really gotten the other person's pattern down, I mean, it's going to be difficult. So I don't know, man. I think I'm of the mind that I don't think they need to go away, but there definitely needs to be some kind of like mitigation, moderation, whatever words you want to use. It just doesn't need to be so overwhelming in fighting games because you're really like eating away at some of the fun for like especially for people who are like starting out, man. Like, I mean, it's cool to learn, but it's not really all that fun to just get beaten up on over and over again. So yeah, that's my take, man.
50-50s in fighting game in themselves aren't a bad thing. We know fighting games are typically at their root based off of kind of like real life fighting. And in real life fighting, you have 50-50 situations. Let's just say you're fighting somebody and he knocks you on the ground. It's like, okay, if this man is talented enough, there's plenty of things he could do to me while I'm on this ground. If you like people that know jujitsu and stuff, they can like grab you to death and put you in ways where you'll never get up off the ground again. Some people who really don't do like, if you're not grappling, is he gonna kick? If not a kick or a grapple, is he just gonna continue to throw hands? Is he gonna try to stand over me? There's different things that could happen like in a fight. So that's why people try to just hurry up and get up so I can better my chances, of him not having so many options that he could do to me. But fighting games are more kind of like boxing. In boxing, if we're going at it, you get the best of me or whatever, and I'll fall, the referee will kind of like, okay, let's like split it up. Everybody go back to their corners and stuff like that. And that's typically like how fighting games have been. Like, let's just say somebody knocks you down in the corner and pass, we know like, okay, he has chance where he can mix me up. It's like a 50-50 is here. This man could grab me in the corner. He could, he could shimmy and make me grab, and then he could open me up. He could just keep doing oppression. So I have to guess, like, okay, what is he going to do? What is he more likely to do? Now, back in older times, like, let's just say he grabbed me in the corner. Okay, if he grabbed me, once he grabbed me, he's going to be far away enough to where there's kind of like a reset. I get up, and then it's like we go, and we're just like, okay, I'm back on my feet. Like, you got me in that corner, but it's reset now. Let's go ahead and go. But now it seems like stuff has more so got more to like MMA. Like in MMA, if somebody knock you on the ground, like I'm running up on you. You finna have to guess. I could do anything to you. Anything can happen. And there's more so like what fighting games are leaning towards too with this offensive heavy play. We see like in Street Fighter, if I get you in the corner, it's so much stuff I could do to you, man. Like I could grab you. Am I gonna do, the drive impact? Am I gonna shimmy? And then if you grab me, then you are right back in position to have all those options for you all over again. So that's why a lot of times you see people getting throw looped because it's like, man, like the other options are just so terrible. Just take the throw, most times. So, and then a lot of people tell you like, man, you just need to learn how to tech. It's like, I get it. But in somebody's mind, like, man, stuff is on the line. Like, this is grand finals, this and this and this. I cannot take that chunk of damage. I cannot take that chunk of damage. And it's like, it's kind of like a constant overload of the mind, which especially older people who have played fighting games from like in the past, it's almost like you kind of, you gotta like reconstruct, you gotta reprogram your mind to just like, I am always in a situation where this man got so many options on me at all times. Like neutral, like back in the day, neutral was a lifesaver to where it's like 50-50s didn't happen so much. But I mean, with drive impact and heat bursts and stuff like that, it's like that just doesn't have to exist anymore. I could be playing somebody that's just like, look, I'm never getting out of your face. I'm never letting up. I'm never like, you're gonna, like Devin said, you're gonna have to do the same thing to me. Like, you finna have to start playing like a wild 8. Like, you finna have to unga bunga. So like it's so 50-50s in themselves aren't a bad thing, but it's just in this new way that we're going, it's like you could be in 50-50s, you could be in a 50-50 situation from one mistake, from that mistake to the end of the round, if you just don't guess correctly. And it's like that's just not how fighting games were all the time. Especially like I say, people who played in older times, to where it's like I'm always in an oppressive situation. That didn't exist, a lot back then. So it's just people have to reprogram their minds and stuff. So it's not just as, like I say, it's not just as easy when people just be like, man, just tech. That's all you got to do is tech. It's like, I get all you got to do is tech, but it's just like, it's a reason why he's taking the throw so much. It's a reason why the throw loop is happening. He's not teching. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with 50-50s. It's just, it's the era that we're in now with this new offensive play. Now, if is that your cup of tea? Is it not? Some people say they have fun, some people say they don't. But no, there's nothing wrong with 50-50s. They don't need to be gotten rid of. It's just these developers have decided this is to go be the play style of their game. So, thankful for Fate of Furious City of the Wolves, we're getting some type of defensive back. So anybody else got anything to
Well, I say let's keep the jury out on that one, because Cristiano Ronaldo is definitely doing some 50-50 type stuff. So
soccer ball
we'll
constantly in your face.
But yeah, I just think Street Fighter 6 is one of the most egregious to me, just the throw loops. I literally just hate throw loops. I just don't understand. I can't understand why it's necessary, why it's needed. This is literally, if I was on a development team and I was part of QA and I saw this, I'm like, oh, this is an oversight. This needs to be fixed. There shouldn't be throw loops. Move the person away far enough so they're not close enough to grab constantly. Or if it is the case, let there be some type of detriment, or you lose meter, or some type of negative penalty, like Guilty Gear. Are you gonna throw a lot? Okay, well, the throw's gonna do less damage, or are you gonna start taking something to deter them from just keeping grabbing all the time? Because like, and also 50-50s in this sense, specifically with throw loops, it makes the whole triangle or RPS, it makes it backwards. Attacks are supposed to be throws be blocks be the attacks. But in Street Fighter, throws are five. If I remember correctly, they're 5 frames. You get up with a 4-frame jab and you still get thrown. That literally makes no sense, because first it's an attack that should be the throw, and second it's a frame faster than your action. So I don't even understand how it's connecting in the first place. So I just feel like when you have something like a situation like that, that's a 50-50, that like literally just deteriorates how the structure of like the fighting game is, the triangle RPS is supposed to work. That's just like, it's weird. And it's like, if I saw somebody play my game and they won like some major tournament with 10 throws in a row, I'm like, I need to fix that. That's just me though. I don't want to see people that have worked so hard, the best talent in the world, come in and lose to somebody getting grabbed 3 times in a row or 10 times in a row. That's just me. Maybe somebody else, like, again, like, we'll just get good, just tech. Now in the moment I tech, he shimmies backwards and I get punish counted, and now my health bar just blew up.
Yep.
That's just, I don't know, man. But yeah, I don't think that should be taken out of fighting games, period. But there needs to be some type of like leveling out of this system. Like, okay, you can use them a few times. There's a little bit of this, but like not just, there's something that's so broken in this style of like having you guess for your life that it's just like, well, I just lost. Okay.
And that's why I like, just in general, like I'm just somebody that's just like, let's just stick to the old landmarks, man. Like, because you're basically redefining fighting games. Like Devin said, if fighting games were made off RPS, they were done like this, they were made like that. This is what we know fighting games to be. And then next thing you know, we're getting into the future to where it's redefined. I mean, it's like you could see why there's people who just are totally upset. Like, you've led me for all these years into this just for to get to like now, and then it's like we're totally changing stuff. So I mean, I mean, is it cool that we're sitting here just sticking with a genre that the same people? Because it's not like Harada been with Tekken since Tekken been Tekken, and he told us that Tekken was played like this, and this is Tekken, and this is it, and this is that, and then next thing you know, Tekken 8 comes out, and it's like we're just totally redefining everything. As somebody who's been here since Tekken 1, am I supposed to be fine with this? Somebody who's been here since Tekken 2, Tekken 3, am I supposed to be fine with this? Am I supposed to just, when you come and ask me about Tekken 8, am I just not supposed to sit here and tell you like that I don't like it? I don't like where it's going. You sold me a bill of goods for all these years just to come and be like, psych, it was poison the whole time. Like, so it's like just we're sitting back and watching like what we know to be redefined, and it's just like, so basically you telling so basically you telling me the foundation of what fighting games was wrong, or you basically just saying I need money, dog. One or
That
the
seems
other.
to be the more likely thing.
Either you telling me at the way we made fighting games for all those years was wrong. It's like what people say about stuff in the FGC is like, we need to change the culture in the FGC and blase, this, that, and the other. I could agree with you on some points. Like that MVC2 era we speak about here all the time. It was some wild stuff happening there. Some of that stuff shouldn't happen. But at the end of the day, it seemed like we're kind of going into an era where people are just like, get rid of trash talk in the FGC period. So basically, you're saying trash talk was wrong, period, from the beginning, and it's like, that ain't the case. Like, that's kind of like the roots of the FGC. Like, so basically, you're saying a part of our foundation was wrong, but unless we can say that, like, why are we changing it? If it was nothing wrong with it, why are we changing it? So I feel like that with fighting games, it's like, that's why I've always said like fighting games ain't for everybody. It's just not for everybody. Like chess is not for everybody. Like some people just don't want to do that. Go play Barbie Dream. I'm sorry. I am
Wow.
Go play Blues Clues Great Adventure if you want something easier. Like just look, it ain't for everybody. And then it's like we're sitting here trying to make it for everybody. It ain't for everybody. It's not, fighting games aren't for everybody. My goodness. Anyway, anybody got anything else to add?
Yeah, I mean, like the way that they made Tekken right now, it's like, yeah, it is kind of like what a huge departure in a lot of ways from like how Tekken was like back in the olden days. And uh I would have to say that it's like definitely wasn't they definitely weren't wrong in the way that they made old Tekken. I think like what like you said, it's about money, man. Like you said, and like once again, you said fighting games aren't for everybody. Yeah, they really aren't. And it's really, I think it's folly to try to make it for everybody. To basically, I mean, like the whole concept of basically being like, oh, well, we're going to have the game basically play its low key kind of play itself for you, then why am I even here? Why am I even picking up a controller? Why am I, learning combos? Why am I, even learning the buttons if the game is going to play itself? It's like you can't, like, I don't know if it's going to get this extreme, but I like the one thing I don't want to see is like you turn Tekken like into like almost like going skewing towards being like one of those AFK mobile games, where you just kind of put the game down, walk away, and you come back and you see how many wins you got. It's like, oh well, that was cool. My game. Look how many wins I got. Because I poured enough money into this character that they're powerful enough to beat everybody else. You imagine like being able to power up people's like moves and stuff like that, and just like put the thing on like an auto setting, and then you just go to work for like 8 hours. You come back, and then it's like, oh yeah, you won like 30 matches. I mean, did you really win 30 matches? Like, it's. I don't know. I mean, I think there is a market for that, but I would be very sad if Tekken went that way, and like the way that Harada talked about it, especially with talking about the way that you want to implement AI and stuff. That's what like the direction that it seems like he wants it to go, and it's like, so what about our input? Like the actual, what about like the input from the player? Like you're just gonna erase that? You're just going to steadily just move away from like people actually playing the game? I mean, what is your real end goal here? Because that is, I mean, because if it's like that, I want nothing to do with it. Absolutely. I'm completely out on that, man. Like 100%.
They're trying to remove the input and the output from the gaming experience, man.
We can't let them do it. But yeah, so that I mean, I've said on here before, probably people have heard me say this over and over again, but if Tekken is anything to be shown as a light of what, like, an example of what fighting games are going, like, fighting games might end up turning to be one of those things, like, when you hear all the old folks like be like, what's this music y'all listening to now? Like, music ain't music no more. Like, when we was growing up, it was music. It was this, it was that. I just can't listen to what y'all listening to. Like, fighting games might get to a point to where it's just like, our grandkids are coming up to us talking about like, hey, Dad, I'm playing Street Fighter. I'm playing Street Fighter 11. And then it's like by that time, it's literally like he said, like, you press 3 buttons, and then it's just like you met your match requirements, or your win condition. It's like, my goodness, oh, he did this square, square, triangle. I win. Like, come on, man. Like, son, get out the grandson, get that out of my face. Get out of my face. Like, I love you, but get that out of my face. But